What if the next world war doesn't begin with the sound of explosions, but with silence? No missiles in the sky, no tanks rolling across borders, no soldiers marching on battlefields. Instead, banks quietly closing their doors, money losing its value overnight, supermarket shelves turning empty, and families panicking just to afford bread. A war where the battlefield is not land, but the global economy, and the first casualty is trust. Welcome to the future we are not prepared for. Welcome to the economic world war. Imagine this. You wake up early one morning, reach for your phone, and open your banking app. But instead of your balance, you see a message saying, "Service temporarily unavailable." You refresh it, you reopen it. The same message appears. You turn on the TV and breaking news flashes everywhere. Global markets have crashed, currencies have collapsed, and banks have frozen withdrawals. Your money still exists on a screen, but you can't touch it, you can't use it, and you can't access it.
President Trump celebrating the better than expected news on the economy. The gross domestic product growing 4.3% through the end of September. The data delayed by the government shutdown, the strongest growth in 2 years. President Trump saying the number.
Suddenly, the world feels different, not because bombs exploded, but because the financial system collapsed. This is not science fiction. This is a real possibility, and the world is silently moving toward it. For decades, we believed that military strength defined a nation's power. Armies, jets, and nuclear weapons. But today, the strongest weapon is economic control. When a country's economy collapses, governments fall, people riot, and society tears apart. Everything else follows. Right now, whether we notice it or not, the world is standing dangerously close to that breaking point. The global economy is unstable because three major forces are shaking its foundation. The first is debt, a monster that never stops growing. Almost every country on Earth is drowning in debt, not millions or billions, but trillions. Some countries owe so much that even if they spent 100 years paying it back, they still wouldn't clear it. So governments do what they always do. They print more money. But when more money enters the system, the price of everything rises, the value of money falls, and ordinary people suffer. The rich move their wealth and protect themselves, but the poor struggle to survive, and the middle class, the heart of society, slowly disappears. Debt is not just a number, it's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. The second force is trade wars, the silent battlefield. Today's world runs on trade. Food ships across oceans, oil travels through pipelines, and technology moves between continents. But behind the scenes, a silent war is already happening. The world's biggest economic powers, especially the United States and China, are locked in a constant struggle, not with soldiers, but with tariffs, sanctions, trade restrictions, and technology bans. Ports become battlefields and containers become bullets. Every restriction sends shockwaves through the world. Fuel prices change, food prices rise, jobs vanish, and day by day the system becomes weaker. The third force is the currency war, the fight for control over money itself. Cash is fading away, digital transactions rule, and cryptocurrencies have challenged the traditional system. Now countries are racing to control the future of money because the nation whose currency dominates the world controls global power. Right now, the US dollar is the backbone of the global financial system. But if nations decide to move away from it, that single change could shake the financial world like an earthquake. When currencies fall, nations fall with them. An economic collapse doesn't announce itself. There are no sirens or alarms. It begins quietly when people lose trust. Fear enters the system as banks feel unsafe. Inflation rises, and savings lose value. People panic and no longer want to keep money in banks. They start buying gold, foreign currency, land, food, and fuel, because they fear money will soon be worthless. Markets begin to break down as businesses struggle, companies shut down, and jobs disappear. The middle class is hit the hardest as bills pile up, stress grows, and families lose hope. Fear slowly turns into anger. Then the worst happens. Banks close their doors, cash becomes unavailable, and accounts are frozen. Your money is locked inside the system and no longer truly belongs to you. People rush to banks, lines stretch into the streets, and panic explodes. Food prices rise daily, fuel becomes scarce, medicine grows expensive, protests erupt, and governments weaken. Society begins to tear apart, and this instability pushes the world toward conflict. When a country collapses economically, it doesn't stay quiet. It looks outward, seeks blame, and searches for resources. Nations begin fighting over oil, gas, food supplies, trade routes, technology, and currency control. Alliances form, enemies rise, and conflict becomes inevitable. But this will not look like the wars we read about in history books. Banks will become weapons. Sanctions will act as missiles. Stock markets will turn into battlegrounds. Currency will function like bombs, and cyber attacks will replace soldiers. This is the modern world war. The winners of this war will not be the nations with the biggest armies, but those with food security, strong local production, energy independence, lower debt, and social unity. When money loses value, food becomes currency, water becomes power, and stability becomes survival. The biggest losers will be debt-ridden nations, import-dependent countries, corrupt systems, and divided societies. In many places, the middle class may disappear entirely, leaving only two worlds, the rich and the poor. For ordinary people, an economic world war changes daily life completely. Prices rise uncontrollably, job security disappears, savings lose value, and stress and fear spread everywhere. But history teaches us an important lesson. Those who prepare survive, those who adapt succeed, and those who learn lead. This message is not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Awareness is the first protection. Building real-world skills matters more than ever because degrees may lose value, but skills do not. Technology, digital creativity, finance, repair, healthcare, and food production will always remain valuable. A skilled person always finds a way. Saving smartly and diversifying matters, as does staying mentally and physically strong. Family and community become priceless in times of crisis, because in the end, people save people, not banks, not governments. A world war is not guaranteed, but the risk is growing every single day. If greed continues, if power politics continue, and if economic manipulation continues, then the next world war may begin inside the global financial system long before the first bullet is fired. The world is changing faster than ever before. And the greatest battles of tomorrow won't be fought with tanks or missiles, but with currency, data, and economic influence. Economies will define power, money will define control, and resources will define survival. The people who prepare today will thrive tomorrow. So stay aware, stay informed, and stay ready, because the future is already knocking. And this time, the war won't start with weapons. It will begin with economic collapse.